Jane Dodge reporting. Now, we were just doing what any parent would if they thought that their child was in danger. The parents of a young man dubbed Jihadi Jack have claimed, as they were found guilty under the Terrorism Act for sending their son money in Syria. John Letts and Sally Lane were handed suspended jail sentences after prosecutors claimed that they had turned a blind eye to the obvious by sending money to Jack Letts despite repeated warnings from the police. Our Home Affairs correspondent Darshan Soni has the story.
They always insisted any parent would have done the same, but the state accused them of potentially funding terrorism. And today the dilemma of their situation was perhaps reflected in the mixed verdicts reached by the jury.
No one during our trial even suggested that the £223 that we actually managed to send to Jack was in fact used for terrorism. The fact that the jury acquitted us of some of the allegations makes it clear that the jury accepted that we believed that our son's life was in imminent danger. We believe that we have been let down badly by the police and the government.
And so the couple are free to go home this evening. In passing a suspended sentence of 15 months, the judge told them he took into account the complexities of a conviction under the Terrorism Act, but he also took into account their love for their son and the complexities of their situation.
4 years ago, Jack Letts ran off to Syria and joined ISIS. But when the teenager later contacted them to say he was trying to escape them, the couple took the decision to send him money, despite having been warned not to, according to the prosecution.
Mum, I've run out of money completely.
Jack and I have always been really close, and it was heartbreaking to hear.
If I don't act and something happens to him, how am I going to ever forgive myself?
It's plain to me that the law in this case is an ass. Now, you could say all sorts of things about Jack's utter foolishness and stupidity going out to Syria in the first place, but what parent would not try to rescue their child? What wouldn't you do?
In late 2015, Ms. Lane went into this shop and made a transfer to an account in Lebanon. Her son had told her he'd use the money to get out to safety. The police say the money could have been used to fund ISIS. Ms. Lane and her husband were charged under the Terrorism Act, although even the officers involved say they recognise the parents' predicament.
We can only imagine the anguish that two parents were going through at the time, that kind of conflicted feeling of wanting to help their son versus doing some actions that might put them on the wrong side of the law.
But then you could argue you added to that anguish by bringing the prosecution.
No, because it's really important to bring a prosecution when somebody breaks the law, and it's not for any individual to choose which laws to follow or which not to.
The family live in Oxford, known as the City of Dreaming Spires. Their lives couldn't be further from the battlefields of Syria. Mr. Letts is an organic farmer, his wife a book publisher. It was an idyllic upbringing for Jack, but when he turned 16, he developed severe OCD. Speaking to me just before their trial opened, his parents told me of the effect this had.
He basically flunked out of high school, out of his A-levels, lost a lot of friends who couldn't quite deal with it because it was a bit of Tourette's and OCD, and he was really embarrassed by it. And he went from being a top student to being unable to read, except in the thing he was obsessed in.
And the thing he became obsessed in was Islam. He visited numerous mosques and prayer groups, striving to find what he described as the truth.
In a few short months, other worshippers began to have concerns about changes in Jack's behaviour. It appears that the teenager had met a group of older men who introduced him to a more radical ideology.
In his police interview, Mr. Letts spoke of the changes in his son's behaviour.
He started to wear a thobe and started to not want to eat my food because I wasn't, I was an atheist, he said, and at least as a Christian he could eat my food. And I was a bit shocked by that. He'd leave the living room when I started playing my guitar, which he'd always enjoyed before. So in that sense, he was becoming more extreme than I wanted him to be.
Jack has admitted he was in Raqqa when it was under the demonic rule of ISIS, and he's reportedly told journalists that he was an enemy of Britain. The jury was shown a picture posted on social media by Jack's former friend who had graduated from an army course. Jack is said to have commented, "I would love to perform a martyrdom operation in this scene."
Some people might say to you, why should he be allowed back here? It was his decision to go to Syria.
People make mistakes. He was 18 and he was quite a naive young teenager. And people make really stupid decisions when they're young.
Described in court as thoroughly decent parents, they now have a conviction for a terrorism offence. Their son managed to escape Syria but is now being held by Kurdish forces. His parents told me they'll never give up on him.
We love him and we miss him and we'll never give up on him. And we just want all this to end and we just want him out.
Don't give up hope. And I hope someday that I'll have him back helping me on the farm, which is where I think he should be.
Dosh Nasoni there.